Welcome to the Core 4 Show. I'm Coach Brandon, and we are here to discuss our journey for another week of how we are working our way into some amazing success. I mean, one of the hardest things that we can ever try to figure out is, where is it that we're going to be, obtaining our success from, whether it be through our 9 to 5 or through if we have our own business. Are we a business owner? I have a friend of mine who is running a business right now, and I had to actually say to them, I said, listen, you're actually working for your employees to be able to get a paycheck every 2 weeks because there's no money or not enough money, and maybe not even enough money in the foreseeable future to really see how it would make a significant impact in this person's life. So what does that mean for all of us? We have to analyze, we have to be able to pivot, and we have to be able to really be honest with ourselves to say, all right, this is working, this is not working, and what's next? I've done it, I'm continuing to do it, and I'm sure that I will do it many more times because we are in a world that is volatile. We are in a world that is variable. We are in a world that moves and shifts. So how are you going to move and shift with it? And so this slow grind to success that we're all looking to achieve has to be done with a critical mind of education. And so one of the things that I got educated on after being scammed was what? Mind your own business, self-custody of funds. And so the Core 4 vision was born. And so what does that Core 4 vision mean? It basically means mindset, 9 to 5, investments, and retirement. And if we can wrap our heads around that, then we have a great chance of understanding why this team at Core 4 is working so hard to just present our journey. And hopefully our journey will mean something to you that you will take action, whether that's minding your own business, becoming better at doing whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's taking a look at the portfolio of opportunities that we are involved with and you deciding that you want to jump in. And maybe it looks like something that I haven't stated, said, or even thought about. And so I was talking to one of the Core 4 students, and it was inspiring because he's actually taken the yield farming course, and he's super happy. He's like, this is the only thing that I'm making money in. But guess what? I'm not an affiliate. So I don't get to make money when he's making money. It's actually an active investment versus a passive investment. And so that's okay too. But I've also noticed that a lot of the community is preferring the passive way. And so if you're going to prefer the passive way, then it's going to be a bit of a challenge because you're still going to be responsible for setting up whatever the passive opportunity is, and then making sure that if you're going to have self-custody of your fund, that you're having some oversight over whether or not it's working and being able to still pivot and make some adjustments. So we have bots. I kind of look at them as employees. And so some of these bots may work, may not work, may be effective, may not be as effective. Isn't that what we get when we have employees? It's the same identical thing. So that's a part of you being a strategist. That's a part of you being a manager. And so you can take a look at our journey and see how it works for you. I know that for me, it's working. I know that for so many of our team, it's working. And so we share that. We share it privately so that it's not necessarily a big deal. But at some point, we may put up charts and all the rest of that stuff so that you guys can see the weekly opportunities that are available. So what does our team look like? So I love our team. We have Chris Pulver. We have James Bishop. We have Sonia Bird. We have India Bradford. We have Eric Majors. And so we're willing to add more if the proof is out there that there is opportunities that can be presented where the journey is real, where there is self-custody of funds, and there's a real opportunity. So we have the Core 4 coefficient, and we look for at least, I don't know, I'd love to say a 10 out of 10. There's some things that we have that does provide a 10 out of 10. But there's always going to be a risk, and I'm not a financial advisor, but I am a journalist. And so from that journey, we have opportunity. So without further ado, we're going to introduce James Bishop. James Bishop is a genius. Chris is not with us today, and so that's okay. It's just me and you, buddy. It's
That's it.
you. You'll take it?
I got it. I got it all. I got Chris's part, my part, anybody's part. Whoever
Well,
needs me,
take
just
my
put me in the
part,
game.
man. Take my part. How's your
That's it.
jump shot?
All right. Jump shot. Well, the jump shot is jumping. It used to be smooth, but it used to be great. Used to could back in the day.
Man, let me
But
tell you, yesterday I said, let me just see if I still have it. And I did a 3-point shooting contest with one of my students. He's a prolific shooter in high school, actually. And so we're shooting against each other. And so he beats me. And so I said, I'm going to have to reach deep within for this. And somehow I got lucky and ended up winning. And man, it was great. The challenge was there, and it's just always fun to see these kids grow and learn and all that good stuff. And so I kind of liken it to what we're doing and helping people to learn, but in a different way, right? It's a financial way. And
absolutely.
so what I like is, tell people a little bit about your background for those that may just be watching for the first time. What is it that you do? What are you studying to get? And then,
So, today, a little bit about my background is I've spent about 15 to 20 years, depending on if you count real estate and real estate investment, in financial services. So, 15 years of that has been teaching people how to trade on their own. So, like you said, they can take charge of their financial investing, they can understand what their financial advisors may be looking at or may not be looking at, and then they can take charge of that and improve financial literacy for themselves and their family. From there, in 2020, I graduated with my MBA from the number one school in the Southeast for MBAs, called Rollins College. And I'm currently getting with a degree in finance and economics. And was going to work for one of the major firms. Don't really care to say the name, and then ended up going and to work for a hedge fund. And there, I was able to work with private equity, hedge fund, as well as real estate investing. Again, three things that I've spent a lifetime of knowledge in.
yep.
And then from there, ended up starting being a principal in my own fund with another gentleman, and then also getting into uh, basically alternative ways of investing for retirement and retirement planning and estate planning that you can not pay taxes on.
Yeah.
Like, that's the biggest thing for me, is that a lot of people don't realize that when you go to invest in your retirement and you get this thing called a 401k, which, mind you, was never designed to be a retirement vehicle.
Yep.
It was designed as it's called a SEP, is the three letters it was originally, which is a supplemental executive program. And basically they wanted people to put away money to buy houses, and they would pay taxes when they pull that money out. Well, then they turned it into a retirement vehicle, and now you pay 34% in federal taxes if you make under a certain amount. Or over that is 38%. And then you have to pay your state income taxes as well. And there was a family I recently helped. They would lose nearly 50% of what they put away in their 401k if we didn't change how they were investing. And that's what I do. I love doing it. And I still advise and help people with their 401ks and different investment vehicles. I give them my opinions on things and let them make the choices for themselves.
But you're also in school still, right?
Yeah, I'm in a doctorate program. I should have mentioned that. I'm in a doctorate program right now. So soon enough, it'll be Dr. Bishop,
Yep.
and which is just unbelievable to me. But I'm working to get my degree in finance and economics. My doctorate will be in that. Specifically, I'm looking at the use of index universal life insurance, a fixed index universal life insurance, against 401ks and traditional methods of investing, or I'm going to do something into financial literacy and the drastic need in our country for financial literacy.
So it's funny. I was just talking to my son and one of them, and we just went through it. I said, tell me a little bit about your future. He's only 13, but I said, tell me a little bit about your future. Where do you want to live? And so, what size house do you want? And tell me about your car that you'd like to drive. And then we went through all of these things just for basic living expenses and, a little bit of fun, and a little bit of entertainment. And, the reality is that I then cut that by 25%. And what I found is that he needs to make at least $55 an hour if he's going to work a 9 to 5 just to be able to have that basic lifestyle. Like, that's just complicated. And he had no idea. And I said, this is a justification for a higher education. And so, unfortunately, we're out here just existing and thinking it's going to work out on its own. And so, we need to work to build our investment money, find self custody opportunities where we won't get scammed, and then be able to then forecast where we understand that it's not guaranteed, but at least we have a plan and there could be an opportunity for some major success. So I just wanted to say that, before you get into the forecast, because there's just so many of us that are out here wandering. And, I'd rather be a meaningful specific than a wandering generality. So anyway, so go ahead, do your thing.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to take it over here and share my screen. Let me do this. Share screen and entire screen. Share. Perfect. So we're going to go through a couple of different things here today. So this is this tool that you see here. You're probably not going to be able to read the text because it is very, very small. This is something that's called FactSet. This is think of a Bloomberg terminal that costs $25,000 a month. This is a version of that. It doesn't cost $25K a month. It still is a very hefty fee, but I get access to it, and it gives me more information than you can shake a stick at. So that's why I stay so informed and how I don't watch TV, don't watch anything, but I can read one page and know about geopolitics, markets, crypto, China, everything. So a couple of big things coming up. The first is we're going to go into kind of a backwards and back into this because there's quite a bit of things coming up. We have earnings coming up this week. This is another major week of earnings, and we have McDonald's, Starbucks. Those are two that I'm going to be really watching, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Procter & Gamble, AMD, so advanced micro devices, so AMD processors, think tech, etc. Pfizer, Merck as well coming out. PayPal, MasterCard, that's one I'm very, very, very interested in, and we'll touch on that. First Solar, which is a solar panel company that is owned by Elon. You have Apple, Amazon, and one more here. Nope, that was Coinbase. That was it. So Coinbase, Apple, Amazon. I always like to look at Ferrari. I'm a Formula One fan, and I think it's hilarious. I could have bought Ferrari at I don't know, 50 cents a share back when it first debuted, and now it's like $420. But hey, who'd have thunk it, right? But Merck, the reason why I'm interested in McDonald's and Starbucks, first and foremost, is I am building. Oh, Microsoft. That was the other one that's reporting. Microsoft as well. I am looking at things from a macroeconomic standpoint, the large scale economy, and seeing things that are on edge that need to change. Because that are causing some change and that are cause for concern. And I was actually having this conversation earlier today with Chris, and I'm going to throw this out there, and this is going to be kind of a bold theory, and this is not to create fear, and I don't like this. Do not think this of fear mongering. But I believe that we will have a recession on Main Street and probably still see some growth on Wall Street. And that's mainly because of tech companies. But what we have seen thus far with earnings is Walmart miss, Target miss, other companies that are missing earnings, LVMH Group, right? Generally, when people aren't spending money on necessities at Walmart and Target and things like that, that money generally flows itself into large retailers. Well, then I was able to, through some connections, understand some things in the watch industry, which we saw an explosion happen in Rolexes. Rolexes went from $6,000 when you bought them, and they were like maybe $4,000 when you resold them, to the resale values were double and triple what the purchase prices were of these watches. Now they're about break even, and even some are losing massive value. Why? And Rolex doesn't know what to do because they make 1.2 million watches a year, which is two times more than their not even somebody in their same competitive league, and yet they're unavailable. They're sitting on inventory because people aren't moving product the way that it happened. And I said this about 6 months ago on Core 4, is that one of my concerns about the economy today and earnings last year was we were seeing companies report higher than normal expected earnings. But if you break down their cash flow statement, you're seeing them have what's called a lower turnover rate. Now, I'm just going to hold this up. I just looked at it on my desk. Let's say I sell folders for a business. Turnover rate is if I make 1 million of those folders, how long does it take until I'm out of inventory and will be able to replenish that inventory? So we're seeing a low turnover rate, meaning people aren't selling through their inventory, which creates a backup, which then creates a need to lower prices, which eventually will lower inflation, which is the good side of it. But the bad side is when you have lower prices, you have lower earnings. Lower earnings means stocks fall. Stocks fall means that, we see some people take a hit. Now, I believe it's going to happen on Main Street first, then Wall Street, if it happens on Wall Street, because the market may be pulled up by 4 or 5 different stocks, the Magnificent Seven, if you will. This is my first eye into that thesis. This came out this week. Car repossessions surged 23% as Americans fall behind on payments, right? This came out July 16th, a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago or so. And you see that, and it makes you realize that, hey, if people aren't paying their bills and cars get repossessed, well, car prices is that a good thing or a bad thing for the economy? That means that overall they can't afford what they're in, so those repossessions will come in. The next thing, U.S. foreclosure activity increases by 2% quarter over quarter in the U.S., so it's still going up. Now, hardest hit are the states where people are being abandoned, so maybe they're abandoning their homes and just taking the hit and whatever. But it is still a big deal that we are looking at in the economy to what's going to happen. Now, the other thing that we had happen was last week, we had on Thursday, July 25th, we had GDP come in. We were expected to be at 2.6. Okay, we came in at 2.3. Let me get my handy dandy drawing tool. Somewhere it's going to pop up. So we were expected to be at 2.6. We came in at 2.3, which was a 8% miss that fell by. And then you go into sales. We were previous was 1.8. We came in at 2. That's good. But then you start looking at prices. Well, prices stayed at 2.6% higher. And then you start looking at other things and you realize that corporate profits and et cetera, and you start to see where the miss came in. We had price increase, right? Price index. So we were expected to come in at 0%. We came in at 0.1%. So prices month over month went up. We were expected to be at 2.5%, and we came in at 2.5% price increase for inflation. Core price increase. So this is just a small aside. If you're ever looking at fundamental news and you see something that says core versus non-core, well, as you see here, PCE price index core and PCE no core there. Core means removing energy and food, because we can't always control inflation on energy and food, right? Oil is sold globally, energy is sold globally, food is a flood that could cause food prices to rally. Like the heat in Champagne, France has caused champagne prices to skyrocket recently because it's killed off all the vines there. So that happened. So that's what core is, and core is up. Now, if we look at this week coming up, and we take a look at what's going on this week. We have Monday, we have housing price index. This is going to be a big one. So Case Shiller, they were the ones in 2006 that said we were about to enter into a housing crisis. Here's why. They received a Nobel Prize for their work because they predicted what was going to happen 2 years before it happened. And so if you this is why the news gives you the direction, the technicals give you the destinations. And then we go into some oil information, but we then get into on Wednesday, sorry, I'll tell you the exact day. On July 31st, we have the federal fund rate. So this is where the Federal Reserve comes out and speaks and says, are we going to raise rates or are we going to lower rates? Well, I can tell you that I've used this CME Group website, and out of this is just, it's been 100% accurate for me since I've used it for about 5 years now, or 3 years now. And 95.9% chance that rates hold because we're still seeing some growth in the market. We still have some high inflation, and they want that number to be closer to 2%. And if it was at 2.3 or if it was at 2.1, then maybe, but right now, no. Looking forward, I do see a potential for a cut coming in September, and then another cut coming in November, and then a final cut in December. So I see that we have a chance for a cut, but I think it will be later in the year, not right now, because we're still in the midst of earnings season. Now, a couple of other things I want to cover because Chris is not here is, as we know, he always shows a heat map. And this is last week's performance of the industry, right? Our Mag 7, Microsoft down 2.7%, Apple down 2.3%, Google down 5.9%, Meta down 2.3%, Tesla down 8%. Tesla reported earnings. There was a miss. Eli Lilly missed. NVIDIA hasn't reported yet, but these companies, you start to see people pare down positions for earnings, and that's probably what we'll see. We'll probably have good earnings, but bad guidance, meaning that, hey, right now we made a bunch of money, but we got some problems and things are going to happen, and we'll see that happen, and we'll see the stock market react, and we'll probably see a little bit of a pullback coming into next week into the market as well. And we want to look at a couple of charts. I have the S&P 500 here. And I always like to start with just a blank chart and then throw on some fibs just so you guys can see those things. A couple of things that I see in this market right now is we have a gap right in here. Let me use a better color. That's fine. We have a gap in there. We also have a gap right in here that is looking to fill. And then we do have some gaps up in the market, right? We have a gap right in here. So what I could anticipate is that for those of you that are familiar with Fibonacci sequence, it's a wave. It's a wave-like pattern that's developed over thousands of years at this point, and it works. I've seen it with my own eyes for 15 plus years. Looking at this, we probably will see the market extend down here to about 518 on a pullback from 544. That's long term. So if we see one or two of these tech companies miss, or if they have bad guidance, we'll see that fall, and we can see that we have the potential to fall here first to 537. Probably look something like this to lay it out. Down to here, back up to here, down to here, back up. And that's what I anticipate for now through kind of the election season is what I'm looking for. So the hardest thing to do right here, don't panic. Don't panic. Now, the beautiful thing, and Brandon, I know you've learned about this as well for yourself, is that in that downtime, there's ways that you can be fearless because you don't participate in loss using insurance to build for your retirement.
100%.
Yep.
100%. And some of the things that you say there, and it kind of reminds me what I think all the time, and that is that the community doesn't really understand what you guys are doing, and especially what you're doing. Like, just the understanding of the insurance part. And can you dive into that just for 30 seconds? I mean, I just
Yep.
want to go through that. And I know we talk about it a lot and stuff. Why do you think the country in and of itself doesn't take on insurance as an investment vehicle more? Why, where is that why you want to do the financial literacy? And then do you find that people don't trust? What is that about? 30 seconds.
So 30 seconds, it's because it's not mainstream marketed, because that we've been bought in, we've been sold that a 401k with an employer match, that 5% match and that pre-tax money is so good. But if you do the math, it's not. And then we've been sold financial advisors, but those gentlemen generally only speak to the wealthy, to be quite honest. And if you do find one that'll bring you in with 25 or 50,000, they don't give you the attention that you need. And the thing is I think that it was huge in the 1980s. Universal life was huge in the 1980s, but they sold it as variable. And in the late 90s and the early 2000s, when the tech bubble crashed, it was just, I mean, it was absolutely mayhem. People lost a lot. People lost a lot of money. They lost their stuff.
So
They lost their accounts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So then someone created the fixed indexed universal life program, and now it's used by the ultra wealthy. I will tell you this, I'm not going to say his name, but yes, Saturday I played golf with a billionaire in the insurance industry. He has 5 of these. He owned the golf course we played on. He has 5 of these policies valued at $250 million a piece, and he uses them to fund his businesses because he borrows out at 0% interest, put the money in the business, allow the business to repay his loan, and then he gets profit off top. Donald Trump does the same thing. The senators do the same thing. There are people out in this world that learn about these things because they're unique and they're alternatives to what we know every day. But if it's what's unseen is unknown in most worlds, and it takes somebody like yourself and myself to care and bring this stuff to people.
Well, and that's what the whole consistency is about. It's like every week people get a chance to see me, they see you, they see Chris, they see Eric, and we will eventually have guests come back on the show as well. But the reality is that, at least for me, I don't feel like people truly get, because they don't trust. And it's almost like they've been programmed to think insurance companies are really scams out to get you and all the rest of that stuff. And then we don't know which one to go with, right? It's like there's so many things out there. It's like a buffet and you don't know what to pick. And so then you just have, paralysis of analysis. And then if you really don't trust, that's what I love about you, is that you've invested in your education so that you become a subject matter expert, right? And so now, instead of most insurance, and anybody who's on here that ever watches this, I'm not trying to be offensive, but there are a lot of insurance agents that are like, this is my part-time thing, and I work at Five Guys and flipping fries, that's what I do, and I'm trying to, get whatever the story is or that narrative. It's not the investment that you put into it. So I just hope that at some point more people take advantage of what you're offering, when they can say, okay, well, James, just take a look at my policy. I'm with this other guy right now, or this other young lady. So I don't know if I'm ready to make a change, but I just want to know what your opinion is. So just thank you for doing what you're doing, because it's more than important.
Appreciate you. I love you whether you like it or not, brother.
The guy that actually said that to me the first time, he called me this past week.
Wow.
And it was awesome just to catch up with him. So thank you for saying that too.
I use it all the time. I
all
love
the
that
time,
line.
all the time.
All the time.
Yes. Say Brandon coined it. No.
I got you. All right, bud.
All right, buddy. Thank you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. So listen, guys. I love what we do with the core forecast. You guys get a chance. We're going to actually shape the show a little bit more when Chris is back. He's on travel, coming back in town today. But the reality is that as we start to move forward and navigate mindset, and then we start to navigate the next thing, which would be, of course, the 9 to 5. I just said to you guys, I'm looking at this journey of mine, especially when we're dealing with more passive or semi-passive opportunities. I'm looking at these robots, or whatever you want to call them, EAs. I'm looking at them because obviously AI is here to stay, and they can do a lot of fascinating things. And so, if there's consistency with the strategy and the technical analysis, and you believe that the robot is going to be able to do that, even though economic conditions change and there might be strategies that allow it to work its way out with very little to no effort on your part, then it's not a bad deal. That's an employee that you can hire one time, and then they do work for you consistently over and over and over again. So the one opportunity that we have right now that's really working is the core forex spot, and that's something that's direct from us. It's $1,500. It's getting about 5,000 pips a year. You guys can back test it. You can do whatever you want: back test, forward test, middle test, whatever you guys want to do. It is doing its thing, and it's doing it very, very well. And so it's buying. Its strategy is not necessarily unique, but its execution is. And so, when you get an opportunity, you can set it on, the conservative, you can set it on moderate, and you can set it on aggressive. So understanding a little bit about how Forex works is important because it is a Forex bot. We also have the Kong bot, and the Kong bot is through Quantum Bots, and you actually get a great discount from us. It's like 20% off. The Kong bot is 12,000, but you get it for significantly less. And so I have one, and what we do is we test drive all of these things. And so in the last over 500 days, this Kong bot has gotten over 1,200%. Now, just to put that into perspective, excuse me, what does that 1,200% look like? Was it on, conservative? Was it on moderate? Was it on aggressive? Well, it was on aggressive to start with $12,000, and now it's up. And this is on FX Blue. You guys can see it. I think it's in the description where you'll be able to take a look at it. But basically 1,200% in 500 days. So it started off as aggressive, but as it has grown in value, it's almost as if the settings have become conservative because it's not trading the same lot size that is in proportion to what it started with. And so it's doing that so that, yeah, you might start off on the fast track and then it allows you to slow down. I've decided to take it slow. So after the first month, I've been up over 3%, extremely happy with that. I've done absolutely nothing but check it and be happy. And so as it continues to grow and grow and grow, I'll actually show you. All you guys got to do is just, contact me. We'll do a Zoom like you guys have been doing. I've had a few of you guys have done that. And then we'll just take a look at it and you can kind of see. And so one of you guys bought it last week. Congratulations. And I know you're testing it out and all the rest of that stuff. We had another gentleman bought it a few weeks ago as well, and he loves it. He's actually helping a bunch of his other friends to get it. The idea, guys, is that if something is working, then you got custody of your funds. Then what we need to do is just take a strong look at how we can be successful. Okay, that's the employee. The next one that we have is the core. I'm sorry, core is the Coinbase Trader. Coinbase Trader is your Coinbase account. You're keeping 100% of the assets that it's purchasing. You choose the assets that it purchases, and then it will then, based on the parameters that are preset, you can obviously customize it. It buys low and sells high. And that's all it does. It's just going to buy it. So it might buy Bitcoin. It's going to buy it when it's low, and then it's going to sell it when it hits its target. And so obviously, you have smaller coins and tokens that you can purchase. You can do ADA, you can do any of them, and so it actually will, whatever is on Coinbase, it's going to buy it when it's low, sell it high, buy again low. And so it may be in a particular cycle where it bought, and so it may take 3, 6, I don't know, 12 weeks in order for that price to go back up. But the idea is that all markets typically, take out their previous high. And so that's important for you to understand that, you obviously want to pick the right ones that are, fast movers. And that's kind of what we've been able to do. And so we're getting about 5% a month, off of it. And so, and it's again, it's set and forget it. I basically have 5 different tokens that it's working on right now. I turned 2 of them off. I have 3 of them going, and so we have a community of people that are talking to us and telling us what they have analyzed and which direction it's going to go. And it's just real easy. Set it, forget it, and keep it moving. It's been fantastic. The money stays right there in your Coinbase account. So the next opportunity we have, we're going to bring Eric on. We did test Eric last week. We weren't able to get the um, the audio going, but I can hear you loud and clear. And we did our test before the show. So welcome. I'm glad you're on. And
Right.
and so Eric's course is a yield farming course. And so he just came back from the big convention. And it's interesting because when people see that you're successful, Eric, want to join in and be part of that success. And whether it's somebody that's, like I just used Five Guys as an example of somebody that owns Five Guys. People are out here, they're looking for opportunities to increase value in their piggy banks, and does a great job of in our course. You got a lot of feedback there, but in our course, it's $650. And Eric normally charges 3,000 for it, and that price is rising. So again, Eric is on our calls every week because he's on the team, but he's committed to our success. Within his library of information that's always updating and changing, he also has a biweekly call and actually, like see what is going on, what changes are happening. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that, and just give us 30 seconds of whatever you want us to know about, what's happening, what's new, if there's anything else that's coming out. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I think the biweekly calls are extremely productive. I'm usually putting stuff in there, talking about really higher order things that aren't covered in the course, little details that can make a big difference. Although I do videotape those so that we can incorporate some of that learning into the course. And most of the first pool I get people into is a Solana pool, and Solana did really well this week. It spiked up, so a lot of my students made even more money than they normally do just because of that spike. We don't really pay attention too much to the prices, but that was a pretty high jump it did this week. And then
what is Solana at this week? I didn't even look.
I think it's like 188.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's definitely moving.
So it's a nice little spike. And I went to the Bitcoin conference. I'm still up in Nashville right now. I'm staying on a farm here. My brother has a huge estate, but he's also into crypto in a big way. So it was really great to hobnob with some other guys. Met some very famous people here. But crypto is here to stay. And I gave a presentation on the pools. A lot of new pool technology. I met people right on the cutting edge of the pools and leveraging the pools to make money. So these are the kind of people that I hang out with, so it can improve the course and improve our performance. And I'll be sharing that stuff as it comes to light. I got a lot of people to call back that I met that are doing some really innovative stuff on the pools. But I was able to make a presentation at the conference about just the fact that anybody really can trade these pools, and about my course that it only takes 5 hours for a person with no experience to get in there. And you really only have to touch it maybe about 15 minutes a week, depending on how much you're trying to earn. That could get you around 10% a month. That's the average that people are making on that, just checking on it once in a while. So there's no easier way that I've ever found to trade than that, because you just don't really have to watch it. You don't really have to pay particular attention to the price, although you need to check in once a week on your pools, depending on what you're trying to do. Want to get really aggressive, you can trade it all day long and really squeeze a lot more out of it. But for ordinary people who have work to do, I think this is the easiest way to make money.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm actually loading mine up on my laptop. That's why I was looking over here, just because I haven't been on. It's a set it and forget it, and I knew that Solana was down a little bit, And so I was out of range. But once it loads up, hopefully before the call is out, we'll be able to see where I am. But it's exciting to know that it's not that you can't lose, but we're still at such an early stage where Solana and some of these other, coins that we might be pairing up with is still going to go up. It's going to go up. It's going to go up. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and also Orca, one of the exchanges that we trade on the most. Now their generic website, they changed it around, and it kind of loads a little faster rather than using the V2 website that I have in the course. So I'm going to do a little course update on that. But so their new beta site loads up a lot faster, and a lot of the functions that used to take a long time now can be done in pretty quick.
Yeah. So I'm actually trying to get in now. It is taking a little time. Well, no, this is good. I mean, this is the example that we want to be able to give the community, and really help them to understand that everybody can win. This is not a lose when you invest. This is a win-win for everyone that's putting stuff in there when we can strategize and work together as a community. So I'm excited about it. So thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, safe travels, and we'll see you next week.
All right. God bless you. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, the goal is not to take too much of your time. I always want to keep these calls less than 1 hour. And the reason why is because there's enough reporting that we need to do just to be able to educate you on what's going on this week, what's possibly going to be happening in the future, so you guys can build a relationship. And then finally, just to let you know what we have out there, that we're on the journey. So, we got yield farming. We've also got Kong bots. We've also got the Core Forex bot. We've also got the Coinbase Trader, Go Baby. We also have, a case study that we're doing. And that case study that we're doing is called Miracle Cash and More. And so for a lot of you guys that talk to me sometimes, like I was talking to another gentleman today about, coins. And so there's this opportunity that came across my desk about a week or so ago, and it looked interesting because I don't mind buying coins. And so I looked at it because you can get into a good early position with a coin, and it's got some good utility, and then there might be an opportunity for you can 10x, 20x, whatever, especially if you're willing to hold over time. And so in my situation, I looked at it and I said, oh, I'm already a part of this in a way, because I've made investments with this company before. And so I elected not to. But it was just interesting because, there's so much out here that people will offer you. And so, if you're buying, people are selling. So just make sure that when you're out here, you're evaluating, very clearly. And so we like Miracle Cash and More as a case study because, it's made some people some millionaires. It still has not paid out past the commissions, for, just some of the it's an NFT that you could have purchased, and now it's become, something else where they have evolved the NFT. And so you now have more like shares of the company. But it's growing. And so they've got magnitude to it. They seem to have some proof of concept and some proof that they're out there legitimately trying to build. So at the end of the day, our job is to just share with you kind of, what the growth is and what the opportunity for growth is for you as an individual, with some of these opportunities, because maybe you do get involved and pick up a node or whatever else. And so we're here to discuss it with you some more. And so for that being said, I'm going to say that I love you whether you like it or not. The slow grind to success is bittersweet. So as you start, you may find that you get an explosion. I got involved in some scams early. And when I got involved in them, I thought I was headed to whatever and didn't know that they were scams. And so now we believe in self-custody of funds and the core 4 mantra of mindset, 9 to 5, investments, and retirement. And so that's our building block. And so from here on out, that's how we're going to move. That's how we're going to grow. And that's how we're going to show our success to you and our journey. So thank you and good night.